Now, are you a smaller rider shopping for a new BMX bike? Or maybe you're the parent of a smaller rider, or maybe you're just a small person, you need a small bike. The small bikes, there's a lot of issues for people who are shopping for a small bike. And the biggest issue is the quality of these bikes are generally terrible. And in a lot of my reviews, I talk very negatively about these lower quality bikes. The reason for that is because the reviews are based on quality. What I look at is the quality of the bike, and I talk about how it compares to the other higher quality bikes. And so obviously a low quality bike is going to get a negative review when the review is based on quality. So that's why I urge you guys to fill out the free bike recommendation so that I can look at the specifics of it and give you a better recommendation based on that. And a question I get all the time after I send a recommendation is like, hey, these bikes aren't very good quality. Are they going to be okay for me? And there's a couple different things that you need to consider and that you need to know about when you are about to buy a smaller bike, because the problem is you can't find a high quality bike in a small top tube size option. They just don't really exist. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you some alternatives for you guys who do want a high quality 20.00, 20.25 BMX bike. I'll tell you some alternatives so you can still get a high quality bike without necessarily breaking the bank. Generally, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money, but that'll be at the end. Okay, let's get into these couple things that you need to know about being a small rider and the quality of the bike. The base of the video, the most important thing is that for a smaller rider, the size is going to be way more important than the quality. Generally, if you're 5 foot, if you're 5'3", if you're around there and you are looking for a 20.00 or a 20.25 inch top tube, you don't weigh very much. In the Dougsterbob app and the scoring system, these bikes have weight limits, and the lower quality bikes have a weight limit of about 130 pounds. And there's not very many of you riders who are that size who weigh over 130 pounds. And so with that being said, you don't necessarily weigh enough to put the amount of stress on a bike that someone like me would. I weigh over 200 pounds, or someone who weighs 180 pounds. Someone who weighs that much on this low quality bike is going to tear it to bits in a few months. Someone who weighs 115, 110, they're not going to have those same issues because they don't have enough weight to put that pressure and to put that force onto the bike and cause things to break. So you don't necessarily need to worry about the quality if you're a smaller, lighter rider. You need to worry about the size of the bike more. And that's why in the recommendations, I break it down. I'm like, hey, look, you are this height, you need to get 20.00 or 20.25. I'll put a video here on the screen that kind of explains why getting the right size is more important, but the gist of it is that you need to get the right size, because think about it this way. Think about you spend 3 months riding low quality parts, and those parts don't break until the 3-month mark. We'll say right at 3 months, your handlebars, your forks, everything breaks, okay? You don't get hurt, but everything breaks. For those 3 months, you're getting productive riding in. The components of your bike are working 100%, and they're helping you become a better bike rider. Now let's say you ride for 3 months with the wrong top tube size. Your bike isn't gonna break in 3 months, but for those 3 months that you're riding, you're getting unproductive riding because the bike is essentially working against you. The geometry of the bike is too big, you're not strong enough to maneuver it, you're not strong enough to control it, and therefore your progression suffers. So yes, your bike is gonna last longer than 3 months in this scenario, but those 3 months, those 6 months, however long your bike lasts, it's very unproductive riding because you're not accomplishing anything, because your bike's counterproductive. Your bike's not causing you to succeed. And so, that's basically the main reason that these smaller riders, you guys who are smaller, you need to focus on getting the correct top tube size. Get the right top tube size, worry about quality less. You can always replace parts as they bend and as they break, but the time you spend on an improperly sized bike is detrimental to your progression. Okay, there you go. That's the biggest reason that you need a proper top tube size. And if you're smaller, don't worry so much about the quality. Find a bike that's the best quality in the top tube size that you need. Now, some of those bikes, I've got in-depth reviews about them, like the We the People CRS, the Fit Park Extra Small, the Verdi AV, the Verdi Cadet. They're lower quality score on the Dougsterbob app, but they come in these smaller top tube sizes that are going to be better for a smaller rider. So again, they might not last forever, but they're going to be productive for your riding because they're the proper top tube size. Now, what if you are actually a very good rider, you're smaller, and you are 100% sure that the quality of the bike is you just don't want a low quality bike? There are a couple alternative ideas. You can build a fully custom bike. In the description, I'll link to a PDF that essentially guides you through the process. It gives you a link to click on frames for your size, to click on bars. It talks about different bar heights, things like that. It's designed for smaller riders to help smaller riders build a badass custom BMX bike. And again, that's in the description. That's one option. This is going to generally cost you $1,300 to $1,600 depending on how much you ball out and depending on how crazy you go with your money. That's one option. The second option is to buy a decent quality complete. Something like the Cult Devotion, the Kink Whip, the Kink Switch, the Sunday Forecaster, the Sunday X. One of these decent quality bikes, the Brosoletum, that have good quality main components, full chromoly bars, double wall rims, full chromoly forks. The Sabrosa Malum comes with a shadow interlock chain. We love that. But get a bike like that for around $400, $500, $600, okay? And then with that, you spend another $250 on an aftermarket frame that's the proper size. So let's say you spend $500 on a Kink Whip and you've got all these components that are pretty good quality, okay? Pretty good quality. The only issue with it is the frame is not the right size for you. And so instead of riding this bike that's too big for you, you buy a second frame for $250, $300, and then you replace it with the 20.5 inch frame that's on the Kink Whip. If you're lucky, you could get a couple $100 for this. You could get $100, $150 on Facebook Marketplace for the Kink Whip frame, since it's full chromoly, or the Cult Devotion frame. You can make some money back off of that too. You got to use your head here. And then you put the 20.00 or you put the 20.25 inch frame, essentially just replace it with the bigger frame, sell the other frame, and then you've got a bike with these good core components that's only going to cost you $800, $900 instead of $1,500, $1,600 like a complete or like a fully custom. Altogether, here are the three options. All right, option number one, you can buy a cheap $400 low quality complete BMX bike that's the correct size for you. That's option one. Option two, you can build a custom BMX bike and spend a good amount of money, but you can get parts that are perfect for you. The geometries are perfect, colors that you like, and very good quality. That's option number two. Option number three is you can buy a complete bike that's the wrong size for you, that has good core components, and then replace the frame with an aftermarket frame that's the correct size for you. And really, those are going to be the three options for you smaller riders who want to get a BMX bike. Don't worry so much about quality, especially if your budget is pretty low. And if you can afford it, get a high quality bike, but just make sure you're not going to outgrow it. That's the other thing. If you're still growing, it'd suck to spend $1,600 on a custom BMX bike and then have to replace it, 6 months, a year later. You got a bike that's going to last you 5 years and you outgrew it. I think that's no good. Get the best quality that you can afford, but don't go too crazy. Remember, you don't weigh very much. And so a lot of the reviews are geared towards bigger people and taller people who will get on a bike and destroy it. Where if you're only weighing 100, 110 pounds, you're not going to destroy the bike as quickly as I make it sound. And part of that's my bad. I don't think about the little guys very much. And so in the reviews, that really reflects, and I don't want to stress you guys out. You're going to get a bike. You're going to be okay. You don't weigh very much. It's not going to explode on you like I make it sound like it would if I was riding it. All right, bike will explode if I ride it. But you're small, you're light, you're good. All right, so comment which option you think is best for you and add any more tips. If you're a smaller guy or a bigger guy and you've already gone through this process, what are some other helpful tips for the rest of the Dougsterbob community? We'll see you guys later. YouTube thinks the videos up on the screen you will enjoy, so check those out. Have a good one.